My name is Graham Patterson. I was a sergeant in the United States Marine Corps, and I transitioned from service to school in 2015.
My name is Morgan Davis. I was a staff sergeant in the United States Army. My transition from school and the military began with me starting part-time while I was still in the military, and then transitioning out of the military in 2012, going to community college, and then transferring from there in 2014 to Columbia.
My name is Ted Scofus. I was in 2nd Ranger Battalion for 4 years. I got out at the end of 2013 and began school at a 4-year institution in the fall of 2014.
My name is Katherine Dorfman. I was a corporal in the United States Marine Corps, and I transitioned into school in 2012.
My name is Talia Burton. I was a staff sergeant in the United States Air Force, and I transitioned from service to school in 2014.
My name is Jim Kilminster. I served in the U.S. Army from August of 2000 until December of 2008. I got my honorable discharge then, and then I moved on to construction for 6-7 years, and then transitioned into school.
I'm Cameron McMahon. I was in the Marine Corps Infantry. I transferred to trade school in 2012 and then to university in 2015.
My transition from service to school was interesting. I came to college thinking that I was just going to be successful because I had so much experience in the military. I was a linguist, so I had 63 weeks of Chinese training, and I had another 16 weeks of a Pashto turbo course. So I felt like I was good to go. If I could learn 4 languages in a short amount of time, I could totally finish out my degree and be on top. And coming to college, it was overwhelming for me, because for the first time I had control of my own life, and that was really, really weird. At DLI, it was wake up, formation, hour 1 grammar, hour 2 listening. I had a schedule, I had a PT afterwards. Everything was just laid out for me. And so to be in charge of my own life and to decide, okay, I need to figure out a time to do homework, I need to figure out a time to be with my friends, that was really intimidating and incredibly overwhelming for me.
The transition from military to school was different just because I had been out of school for several years. For me, when I had returned back officially, it had been about 8 years. So there was a lot to do as far as the fundamentals. Could I still write a paper? The way that my mind has to work for the military and then having to work in an academic environment were very different.
Being a Ranger means that you are a member of the Army's premier raid force. And so it's a very grueling deployment schedule, and it's a very intense work environment. And so what happens is that when you get out, there's a huge cultural shift that happens, and it takes a second to get up to speed, because suddenly the values that were held in the military are completely changed.
There's a lot when it comes to transition. You're stressed, scared, tired, confused. It's been forever since you actually had to read something. But you think that you're the only one who's experiencing it, and you think you're the only one who's going through it, and you think you're the only one who's doing it, and you think you're the only one who doesn't know how to deal with it.
I think these resources are invaluable, and I really can't see myself having done as well without the knowledge and the skills that I learned within. It absolutely invaluable. I was really nervous being a high school student who graduated with like a 2.5 GPA. I was really scared coming to college. I thought that that history was going to repeat itself. And thankfully, I was able to develop these tools in a very welcoming, in a very close, in a very forgiving environment. And, I ended up graduating with honors, magna cum laude, and I don't think I would have done that if I had not gained these incredible skills that I learned, in university studies.
So a resource like this, I think, is really important for any veteran who is looking at continuing some form of higher education. It's really important because it gives them a realistic expectation of what it is that they should have to look forward to. And it can help remove anxieties when they're already in that situation, because it's now familiar territory. They can say, I've seen this, before. I knew that this was coming. And sometimes just having a plan can make life so much easier for you when you're prepared.
When veterans are transitioning from the military to the university, there's going to be a ton of people trying to help them. There's going to be organizations like Warrior Scholar Project. There's going to be resources on campus to help them. And in my experience, the best thing to do is to do exactly what you did when you showed up in the military, which is just do what everyone says, and you'll be fine. When you show up to the university, just take everyone's advice, try it out, and find what you like, and you'll succeed. But you can't show up thinking that you know how to do something, because the truth is you've never done this, and even if you did it online, being in the classroom is not the same. So when you're in the classroom and people are giving you advice on how to do things, take their advice seriously, because I know it works, because it's exactly what I did, and 2 years later, I'm still here.